Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jayo Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi, Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Poshashi. Jayo Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi, Kodanitai, Jaya Maya Poshashi. Kodanitai Jaya Maya Poshashi. Iskon Guru Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shishi Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Ki Jai. Go to pray, Manandi. So, can we just read a little bit from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is the condensed version, and this is, when a week passed and Karl and his friends had not found the Swami a suitable place, Bhaktivedanta Swami suggested that he and Karl take a walk up to Michael Grant's place and ask him to help. Mike, a young musician, lived on the Bowery, had been coming to the Swami's meetings and had shown inquisitiveness into the teachings. He was resourceful and would probably like to help. As Mike listened to the Swami's story, he felt obligated. So the next day he went to the Village Voice, got the first newspaper off the press, looked through the classified ads until he found a suitable prospect and phoned the landlord. It was a storefront on 2nd Avenue, and an agent, a Mr. Gardner, agreed to meet Mike there. Carl and Swami also agreed to come. Mr. Gardner and Mike were first to arrive. Mike noted the unusual hand-painted sign, Matchless Gifts, above the front of the window. It was a holdover, Mr. Gardner explained, from when the place had been a nostalgic gift shop. Mike proceeded to describe the Swami as a spiritual leader from India, an important author, and a Sanskrit scholar. The rental agent seemed receptive. As soon as the Swami and Carl arrived and everyone had been congenially introduced, Mr. Gardner showed them the small storefront. The Swami, Carl, and Mike carefully considered its possibilities. It was empty, plain, and dark. The electricity had not been turned on, and it needed repainting. It would be good for meetings, but not for the Swami's residence. But $125 a month, it seemed promising. Then Mr. Gardner revealed a small second-floor apartment just across the rear courtyard, directly behind the storefront, another $71 a month, and the Swami could live there. Although, first, Mr. Gardner would have to repaint it. The total rent would come to $196, and Carl, Mike, and the others would pitch in. Bhaktivedanta Swami had the idea of making Mr. Gardner the first official trustee of his fledgling Krishna Consciousness Society. During their conversation, he presented Mr. Gardner with a 3-volume set of his Srimad Bhagavatam, and inside the front cover he wrote a personal dedication and then signed it, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Mr. Gardner felt flattered and honored to receive the books from their author himself. He agreed to become a trustee of the new Society for Krishna Consciousness, and so paid the society $20 a month. So that knocks it down to 176. Srila Prabhupada ki. This one.
Next to your earbud is supposed to be next to your mouth.
Is that okay? Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the 6th canto, and it's chapter 2 entitled Ajamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas, and it's text 13. Text that. Ahainam, Athainam, Ma Panayata, Ahainam, Mahapanayata, Kritasheka, Kritasheshaga, Nishkritam, Kritasheshaga, Nishkritam, Yad, Aso, Bhagavan, Nama, Yad Aso, Bhagavan, Nama, Mriyamana, Samagrahit, Miryamana Samagrahit, Eight Atainam Mapanayata, Krita Sheshaga Nishkrita, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit, Atainam Mapanayata, Krita Sheshaga Nishkrita, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit,
Yadaso
Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit,
Atainam Mapanayata, Kritasheshaga Nishkrutam,
Nishkritam,
Yadaso Bhagavan Nama,
Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit,
Atainam Mapanayata,
Krita Sheshaga Nishkritam, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit,
Atainam
Mapanayata, Krita Sheshaga Nishkritam, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit. Ladies?
Atainam Mapanayata,
Krita Sheshaga Nishkritam, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana Samagrahit, Atainam Mapanayata, Nishkritam, Yadaso Bhagavan Nama, Mriyamana samagrahe. Ata, therefore, Einam, him, Ajamil. Ma, do not. Apanayata, try to take. Krita, already done. Ashesha, unlimited. Aganishkrikam, atonement for his sinful actions. Yat, because. Aso, he. Bhagavat Nama, the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mriyamana, while dying. Samagrahit, perfectly chanted. Translation. At the time of death, this Ajamil helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of the Lord, Narayan. That chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. Responsibly, please. At the time of death, this Ajamil helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of the Lord. Narayan. That chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. Prabhupada ki. The Vishnu Dutas, who are superior authorities, gave orders to the Yamadutas, who did not know that Ajamil was no longer subject to tribulation in hellish life for his past sins. Although he had chanted the holy name of Narayan to indicate his son, the holy name is so transcendently powerful that he was automatically freed because he had chanted the holy name while dying. Anti Narayana Smriti. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Yesham Twantagatam Papam, Gyanam Punya Kamanatam, Te Dvanva Mohane Mukta, Bhajante Mam Dhridavrita. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unless one is freed from all sinful reactions, one cannot be promoted to the platform of devotional service. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 8.5, it is stated, Anti Kalichamam Eva, Smara Mukva Kalevaram, Yaprayati Samadbhavam, Yati Nastra Atra Samshaya. If one remembers Krishna Narayan at the time of death, one is certainly eligible to return immediately home, back to Godhead. Om Agana Timirandasya Gananyana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dati Savadantika Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vatsali Gaura Bhattarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha Bhaditanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I'll read the translation again. At the time of death, this Ajamil helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of Lord Narayan. This chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. So Prabhupada starts the purport by saying that the Vishnu Dutas are superior authorities, and they gave orders to the Yamadutas who had him lined up for some tribulation in hellish life. So from that we can see if Ajamil had not been so fortunate. I mean, it wasn't just the fact that he chanted Narayan at the time of death, it was also the fact that he'd been chanting Narayan quite a bit before that, because Narayan, He was his favorite little boy, so he was like, Narayan, come here. Narayan, where are you? Narayan, we're going to the shops. Narayan, shall we change your nappy? Narayan, 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 Narayan. So he was saying all these Narayans, and they were all like, but the Yamadutas weren't aware that that's what was going on. The Vishnudutas were aware that that was what was going on, but the Yamadutas weren't. So there's a difference there, that the Vishnudutas are fully cognizant, and the Yamadutas are just going by what they see on the gross physical platform. So on the gross physical platform, a few names of your son wouldn't seem to be enough to counteract tribulation in hellish life for many lifetimes. He stacked up quite a lot of bad karma there. And then he just says, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And that's it. He's completely absolved. Interestingly enough, though, that's not the end of the story. At that point, Ajamil was allowed to live a bit longer. He clambered back inside his body. There's a creepy, and you can see that he's getting dragged out. His subtle body is younger than his physical body. Your conception of yourself maybe doesn't age as much as your body. And he's getting yanked out by ropes. So these ropes, the Yamadutas throw them around the subtle body, and then they drag the living entity out of the body. So that would have been normally his fate. The Yamadutas are about to do what they will do to most people in Kali Yuga, unfortunately. Because illicit sex, intoxication, eating meat, and gambling are quite high on the bad karma reaction. And just a simple thing like avoiding killing animals and eating animals. I was just listening this morning. Mahaprabhu was asked the question, how do we not lose faith when things like war take place? And he was saying, well, we have to not lose faith, but increase our faith, because it's the faith that we have in the process of Krishna consciousness that purifies us and purifies the whole planet that we're on. Every time we chant the holy name purely, then it has a very powerful purifying effect. So not just Ajamil gets the benefit of chanting Narayan, but everyone connected to Ajamil. And we also get the benefit of Ajamil chanting Narayan, because we get to hear about it now, and then we can factor that into our existence. And we should also be careful to avoid the offense. The other side is you could take it, this is cheaply, oh, well, that's fantastic. All I need to do is get a son and call him Narayan, and there's going to be no problem for me. I can do anything I like. I can go down the bookies. I can smoke cigars. It's okay. Narayan's there. I'll look after Narayan. But the difference is, Ajamil's chanting was offenseless because he wasn't doing it in a calculated way. He wasn't aware that he was getting so much benefit. So we're in a very good position that we can hear about this pastime of Ajamil, and we can also understand, wow, so there's so much benefit that's there. But then it's a question of how much faith do we have when we hear the pastime as to how well we can access the benefits that are there. So our connection to all this great fortune and blessing is really our ability to have faith. And our lack of faith makes us more unfortunate. And the more faith we gain, then the more we can access the great fortune and the great blessings that are there. So that is a big question, isn't it? How do I get the faith? How do I experience? How do I go from just believing something, accepting it intellectually, to becoming aware of it, so that it becomes a reality, a living reality, a living, breathing reality, not just a nice theoretical idea. And that's a question of consciousness. If you're able to perceive Krishna, really your relationship with Krishna is your ability to perceive Krishna. And the more you're able to perceive Krishna, then the more you have faith in Krishna. Any questions or comments? I'll read the translation again. At the time of death, Ajamil helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of Lord Narayan. That chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. Yes, Pipparu.
So you say that the more faith that we have, then the more transformation that takes place.
Yeah. How we can build our faith. So by associating with devotees, especially from Manchester, it's especially good if they're from Manchester. And you organize a retreat and you get them all in the one room together and you have a kirtan and you watch them explode. And then you think, okay, maybe I've not got a taste for the holy name, but maybe I can get some taste by just hanging around these guys. So when it's in isolation, Krishna consciousness is much more difficult. So the real art of Krishna consciousness is the art of association. Can you associate in such a way that you have appreciation and respect and genuine humility for the devotees? If you're in that frame of mind, then association of devotees is very dynamic, Problem is, if you don't have so much appreciation and respect, and you have sometimes maybe not an attitude that's as good as it should be, as Lord Chaitanya says, you should be devoid of all self-prestige. So what he's saying is you're actually not. That's why he's saying you should be. He's kind of implying, you should actually be devoid of all sense of false prestige. So what he's saying really is, actually, you're full of so much false prestige, but you should be devoid. And you should actually be ready to offer respect to others. And it's like, really? I should offer respect to others? I thought you just had to chant Hare Krishna. And then Lord Chaitanya is saying, well, yeah, that's right. You do have to just chant Hare Krishna. But this is what chanting Hare Krishna means, to be able to do it in that frame of mind. So the attitude of the practitioner is the greatest determining factor in your progress in Krishna consciousness. And you cannot blame your attitude on anybody else but yourself. You could say, well, if I was with some other devotees, I would be so much more fired up. It's their fault. No, it's not. It's nobody else's fault but your own and your inability to appreciate. So that's why Lord Chaitanya is saying, look, you should be humble, you should be tolerant, you should be devoid of prestige, you should be ready to offer. Like it's saying here, persons have acted piously, whose sinful actions are eradicated, and they're freed from duality, they engage themselves in determination. So this ability to be engaged with determination is compromised if we don't have the right attitude. So we have to kind of look at that, how we can. And then if we're able to do that, Prabhupada said, you'll show your love by how you cooperate. So cooperation is like, if you have appreciation, that's like turbocharged cooperation. It's very easy to cooperate when you appreciate. And so that takes maybe a little bit of reflection on being able to appreciate devotees, seeing how enthusiastic they are, how rare it is for somebody in Kali Yuga to believe in anything or practice anything, and to take it up full-heartedly over a long period of time. These are all ways that we can help to deepen our appreciation for the devotees. And then the faith will automatically, it will grow, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pratyaksadavamangam, he says it's the perfection of religion because it gives you direct experience of the self by realization. So it's pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is the direct perception. If you can gain direct perception of Krishna, then of course you'll have faith. So that's the challenge. Can you do that? He's right there. And if you want Krishna to be right there with you in japa, all you have to do is make some space for him, which means you have to push all the thoughts and worries and cares and considerations about yourself. You push them out, and you let Krishna come in, and then you start realizing, actually, I'm not God. Krishna's God. So why am I worrying about it? Krishna, if I can just connect with Krishna, then Krishna can make all the arrangements much nicer than me, Any other questions? Is that okay? Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Just
Yes.
Comment. It is very other devotees have, I don't know. It's like exponential.
Yeah, well, sometimes we forget. Associate devotees doesn't mean, Harry Prabhu, have you heard that one about the Irishman? And have you seen my latest watch? It's absolutely amazing. And did you see that film the other day? Association of devotees means, you know, you read the Shastra together, you unpack it, and then you have sanghas. We do a regular japa sangha, and we just get together and none of us are particularly brilliant in our realizations of the holy name, but because we all get together and we talk about the holy name between us, then when we go to chant the next day, the next few days, the holy name is very pleased, so the holy name comes and dances on our tongue. So it improves. Everyone said in the japa sanghas that their japa is improved from getting together. So if your japa is a little, you're finding you're going through a bit of a dry patch, which we do at times, just grab some devotee and say, "Oh, tell me something about the holy name," you know, start talking to him about chanting, and then the holy name will be pleased that you're glorifying him and trying to understand him more, trying to learn the technique. So that's where association of devotees is. Everyone has a strong point and a weak point. And amongst us, we all have our different strong points and weak points. So as a body, then we become very strong. We can cover each other in certain areas that we're not so strong, you know. No one's completely weak in every area, and no one's completely strong in every area. So association of devotees helps us to fill in the gaps between each other, you know. Association of devotees. It's interesting, the word sangha, anga is limb. So when you're in a sangha, it means you become part of a body. So then you're very sensitive to how the body is doing, you know. You don't just say, "Oh, is my little finger not working properly?" Lop it off. Thinking, no, I have to take some tablets, so I go to the doctor, maybe it needs a massage. You're looking after it, you know, it's part of your body. So you're concerned, every part of the body. You could think, well, I've got 10 fingers, what's one finger? I'll just lop it off and chuck it out the window, no problem, you know. But Srila Prabhupada was explaining every jiva is very important to Krishna, and he would never think of lopping any of the jivas off and thinking, oh, well, this one's just a waste of time. Let the Yamadutas take care of him, and we'll see how he's doing in 1 trillion years, you know. But every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna, so they're all like his fingers. So if any of them are caught in the material energy, he wants them back, because only then can he enjoy it completely. Yes.
That you should not get either too close to the deities, so you can understand it. I couldn't quite gather what was meant. It was not yourself, but it was stated here yesterday, and I was just trying to. And they said it's in a crowd if you do it as well. So if you could just kindly.
When we first shalagrams to Scotland, because shalagrams were known for being very, they're very. It says that Shalagram's mercy is he doesn't show any mercy, because when you make an offense, if you're doing some deity worship and you make an offense, if it's Radha and Krishna, you get 85% the reaction. If it's Gaur Nitai, there's no reaction. They're very merciful. If it's Shalagram, it's 100% reaction. There's a devotee once at the manor, and he dropped the Shalagram, and then for 2 weeks, he could just about get up and do the puja, and then he was just on his back all the time. It was such a heavy reaction. So the reason why we have second initiation is because we don't allow people to approach the deity until established in the mode of goodness, and then they're given the Gayatri mantra. Gayatri mantra doesn't work unless you're in the mode of goodness. If you give the Gayatri mantra to somebody and they're smelly and dirty and insulting people all the time, then the Gayatri mantra won't work. They have to be in the mode of goodness, and then the Gayatri mantra works. Then when you're chanting Gayatri, then you're qualified to go on the altar and touch the deities. And that's why there's that gap there. Until you're ready to approach fire, you have to become like fire to approach the fire. And if you approach the fire before you're like the fire, then you'll burn, the fire will burn you. So in that sense, we stay a respectful distance. And then maybe we aspire, well, in a few years, I'd like to take second initiation. And then I would like to go on the altar and I would like to dress the deities. Which would be, my wife would be very happy if someone said that, because there's a lot of worship and service to do. And the thing that we're short of in ISKCON is pujaris. Very, very difficult to find people who are prepared to make that commitment and come to that steady level of sattvic mode of goodness, you know. So every second initiated pujari is worth his weight in gold in any ISKCON temple. And Prabhupada said one day they will curse this old man for giving them the deities. And what he meant was, unless we have people that are able to appreciate the great fortune of approaching the deities, then they won't want to do it in the first place. Or if they do it, they won't appreciate the great blessings they're getting. See, generally when you go back to Krishna, you go to a planet where Krishna's performing his pastimes, and then you get trained up, and then you go back to Goloka. But if you're Pujari, you can go straight back to Krishna, to the planet where Krishna is, Goloka, because you've already been trained up. You already know how to dress him, how to feed him, how to bathe him. So you just go. One time the room was packed with devotees from the Radha Damodar party, and they were asking, what's the highest service, Prabhupada? And it was a totally loaded question because they were all book distributors, so they wanted Prabhupada to say book distribution. Srila Prabhupada said, deity worship is the highest. So they were like, deity worship, Prabhupada said, is the highest. So that's why, so the little bit of distance, but the intermediate stages is getting up to speed and up to the standard where we can, and then we don't make offense. Because if we're making offenses, then we're nullifying any advancement we're making. Yeah, when you have deities at home, then the standard is not as high, but still has to be some standard. And whatever standard you start with, you have to at least maintain whatever it is. If you have a bare minimum standard, you offer some fruit every day or some incense, then at least that. And then some days on a special day, you may do a whole fancy thing, but at least the minimum is always maintained. That's one thing with deity worship you do.
Pujari or Brahmana pay respect to the Sankirtan devotees.
Well, there's all different types of offenses you can make. So Vaishnav aparad, and you get a few in one there. That's also nam aparad. It's also offense to the deities, because the deity, say Pujari may be very, very dear, but it is very, very dear to the Lord, you know. So you have to be very careful how you treat the pujaris and even the devotees that are in the temple doing service to please the deities. So that's why the best thing is to be in a humble state of mind, more talent than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer respect. Generally in Kali Yuga, everyone's ready to offer insult or ready to be insulted. Everyone's got an insult just ready, you know. It's like they're going around with these crossbows with insults on them, just waiting. Anyone? You want an insult? Or waiting to be insulted. How did you see the way he looked at me? They're so keen to be insulted. You know, at the slightest thing now, you can be insulted and you can get sued for it, and you can be social media persecuted just because you didn't do something the right way, you know. So it should be ready to offer respect. So it's like we're so keen to offer respect. Any chance we can get, oh, that was amazing the way you distributed that book, or that prasadam was amazing, or the way you offered that flower was amazing. You know, whatever it is, we're just ready to offer respects. And there shouldn't be like an elitism there that, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing the top service, because the top service is spiritual master, and he's right at the very top, and he thinks that he's everybody's servant. Otherwise, he's not a bona fide spiritual master, you see. So you become bona fide, you become elevated by your ability to show respect to others, and then you're shown respect. And then how to not be affected. We see sometimes spiritual masters have been affected by that. They've been given a lot of respect, and then they've lost sight of the fact that, you know, I'm supposed to be serving everybody else. I'm supposed to be showing everybody else respect. Srila Prabhupada, he said, you've all been sent by my Guru Maharaj, and you're all my spiritual masters, and you're all teaching me. So that was Prabhupada, and he's the topmost, the founder Acharya. So if he feels like that, then certainly everybody else should be feeling like that as well. But Kali Yuga is it's a very that's the danger that we have to watch out for, is that we don't take the association of people who are conditioned in Kali Yuga especially, but that we give our association. So you're quite a lot of you are living outside, and you're mingling with people who are non-devotees, and you're having to protect your Bhakti Lata Bij, and so you have to be careful how you navigate through the environment. You don't just go and reveal your mind. I remember one time when I was a new devotee, I was struggling on Sankirtan, so I thought I'll take shelter of my mum. So I rung up my mother and I said, Mum, the modes of nature are just so heavy today, And there was this like gap, like a pause, and then my mother says, well, have you got your scarf on? I said, yeah, I've got my scarf on. No, I've got my woolly hat on that you knitted me, but the modes are giving me a really hard time. And she was like, well, I'm sure you'll get over it. So then I realized, okay, I can't really take shelter of my mum, And so the art, Rupa Goswami explains the art of Krishna consciousness is knowing, okay, I respect this person because they chant the holy name. This person I offer my obeisances because he's second initiated and he's fully serving the deity. And this person, his heart is devoid of the propensity to criticize others. This person I'll reveal my mind to, because he's well-intentioned. He has my best interests at heart. So he won't use this against me. And he'll help me and empower me to see my situation in a different way so that I can become encouraged instead of becoming discouraged, But unfortunately, the onus is on us. We have to work that out. Which ones do I reveal my mind to? Which ones do I just show formal respect to? And which ones do I stay a little distant from? I respect them, but I'm not too intimate with them. So that's a great art, that ability to be able to do that, to be able to discriminate. It's not offensive to discriminate. And if you're not sure, then it's always safer anyway to be respectful. But you should be very careful who you reveal your mind to, because if you reveal it to a person who's too immature, then you may not get the feedback that you need. I don't know if anyone's experienced that.
The monkey and crocodile story was there, isn't it? Don't give your heart to everyone.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah, the monkey and the crocodile. What happened in the end? Did the monkey get eaten?
No.
Got his way onto the front. He said, I left my heart at home. He said, I left my heart at home.
Oh, that's right. That's right, yeah. It was a clever monkey. Yeah. Yes, you do. You have to be. In Scotland, we call it being a bit canny. Have you heard that before? Canny? It's when you're, so you have to be a wee bit canny in Krishna consciousness, Because you could think, well, no, I see everyone as a pure devotee. I'm just going to reveal my heart and mind to everyone. But that's not so good. And sometimes it just takes time to appreciate, because you measure devotees in different ways, and one of the ways that you measure a devotee is in time. In terms of time, how long has this devotee been steady? He may be very enthusiastic right now. He's been in the movement 6 months, 3 hours and 42 minutes. He's doing pretty good. We have to see what he's going to be like in 10 years. Maybe it takes 20, 30 years, and then you think, okay, he still looks fired up. Okay, this guy must be good. So it just takes time. And so you gain that faith. And the idea is to take initiation from somebody that you have that faith in. The person you're prepared to trust and give your heart to is generally your spiritual master, your diksha, or your Shiksha Guru. Shiksha, actually, a holy name comes through Shiksha more than through Diksha. Mahabharata was explaining that just recently. Because you can throw your banana in the fire and you can get a funny name, and that's great. But now you've got to work out how to chant the holy name. And if your Diksha is also your Shiksha, then that's great. But generally the Diksha Guru doesn't have time to be with you in your temple day by day, So then you have to find somebody else who can give you Shiksha on a regular basis, and say, Prabhu, your chanting could be a lot better than it is, or whatever, or your chanting is very good, or whatever. So the Shiksha helps to guide you and give you the inspiration to continue on chanting and practicing Krishna consciousness. Nobody gets paid, you see, in ISKCON. Or we only get like a bare minimum just to keep our body and soul together, but no one's becomes a Hare Krishna for the money, or the haircut. You take up Krishna consciousness because of inspiration. There's nothing in it for you other than the fact that you're inspired to take up Krishna consciousness. There's no material remuneration. It's not only free of karma, it's also free of jnana. And jnana is the desire to be free of hassle. That you just want to put your bead bag on, chant Hare Krishna, and then just float at the top of the temple roof and just float over on a cloud and just Hare Krishna. And there's no hassle, no problem. You're eternal and you're full of bliss, and everybody else can get lost. So that's jnana. Jnana is you want to merge and you want to be free of cares and worries and anxieties. So devotional service, pure devotional service, is free of karma and free of jnana. So we take on hassle, we take on responsibility. We are in anxiety that the deities are nicely maintained, that the temple will still be here in 100 years, the Krishna consciousness will spread, that people won't just get Srila Prabhupada's books, but they will study them and implement them. That more and more people are chanting Shuddha Nam, more and more are aware of their Swarup, their relationship with Krishna. This is our anxiety, this is our concern. We want this to take place. We don't just want to. Even Ajamil saw the Vishnudutas. He realized he was in for a stiff Yamaduta session, and suddenly he was saved. And he was like, so then he had to get on track, and now he had to really practice Krishna consciousness seriously. And then in those last few years, he achieved Shuddha Nam, and then he went back to the spiritual world. He didn't just go back. You can't just go back by calling your kid Narayan, It can help you and it can be a good opportunity, but it's still up to you to take the opportunity. And so for some of us, we need a scare to but it's better if we don't have to see the Yamadutas to take Krishna consciousness seriously. Because they're very powerful and they're very fearsome. And we're hoping if we keep our neck beads on, and we keep chanting, keep our tilak on, we won't see them. Sometimes you think you see them when you're in Glasgow. And then you think, oh no, okay, it's not a Yamaduta, but it reminds me of what a Yamaduta would look like. And there's no mercy. The Yamadutas, they just take you and you go on this road, this desert, you go on this path, which is like on the desert, and they take you for quite a long time before you get to see Yamaraj. So that's before the fun starts. That's just you going into the court of Yamaraj, and then you get judged, which is like, having your mind up on LCD screens, like everything you've thought and done is right there. We're actually on CCTV all the time, we just don't realize it. But all the tapes get played back. And Yamaduta says, you remember this? Oh no, well, show that to me. Yep, it's definitely you. I won't do it again. Well, you won't be doing it for a few thousand years anyway, because you're going down to these hellish planets. So we're in a very fortunate position. And Srila Prabhupada said we shouldn't go from we're the most fortunate. There's people who are unfortunate, and then they can be made the most fortunate. But then if the most fortunate person, you know, it's like if I'm going to give you a ticket to Mauritius, and it's all paid for, and there's your ticket, you know. So you, wow, I'm so fortunate, and then you lose your ticket. So the guy that didn't have a ticket in the first place, he's maybe a bit fried because he's just fried in general with life, you know. And you've gone from totally excited of going to Mauritius to totally, completely fried that you've lost your ticket. So that, and Prabhupada said, if you become misfortunate, that is the worst. There is unfortunate, fortunate, and misfortunate. If you become fortunate and then you miss the boat or you miss the plane, then you are misfortunate, which is the worst thing. So now that we are fortunate, we want to hold on to our fortune. And if we stay in the association of devotees and we have living relationships, and we appreciate the devotees very much, and we feel very blessed to be in their association, and we're trying to serve them all the time and help them, then we're pretty Bhajahure mana shinandanandana abhaya charanara brinde dulava manava janama satsange. He says this human form of life is very, very rare, dulava. But by satsange, by taking the association of devotees, you can cross ocean. You can cross over the ocean of repeated birth and death. So right now everyone's on that boat and we're heading across. Natam sandashito datra dushtaram nishtatetasam. We think we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that you may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross this difficult ocean of Kali that deteriorates all the good qualities of the human being. So when you're on the ship, you just need to stay on it. Now sometimes on the ship, somebody may be feeling seasick, and he thinks the solution is to jump off the ship. And he jumps off the ship, and it solves his seasickness because he drowns. So he doesn't have to worry about seasickness anymore. But he's lying on the bottom of the ocean, pan bread, as they say. So he solved the problem by jumping off. But he'd be better off just hanging on and waiting for the ship. Eventually the ship will reach some clear water, you know, and during the storm, you just have to hang on. Sometimes it does get a little bit rough. Srila Prabhupada said, devotional service, it frees you from the influence of the modes of material nature, but until you're quite mature in your Krishna consciousness, the modes are still banging against the ship. So that you're not directly being hit anymore by the material energy, but the vehicle that you're traveling in is being hit by it. And so it's causing some disturbance, some upset. You're going up, you're going down, you feel seasick, you feel like jumping off the ship. You can't handle being with these devotees. They drive you crazy. They're always making noises and jumping up and down. And they're always giving you halava, and it's just driving me crazy. I just can't take any more. So we have to just hang on and know that this is the ship that's going back. It's a rare human form of life. And Janama Satsange, to get the association of saintly persons is very, very rare. So we have to keep that, remember that. And then everything will be A-okay. Any other questions or comments?
So, on the topic of satsang
Yeah.
association, Ajahn also took the association of so that was one of the factors Prabhupada mentions, isn't it? Not only chanted the holy name, but he heard the conversation between those, and he took the association of Vishnu Dutas. That actually helped him be in association. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We don't just have the association of the Vishnu Dutas. We have the association of Srila Prabhupada, who's a Brajbasi, because the Vishnu Dutas are residents of Vaikuntha, but Srila Prabhupada's come from Goloka. He's an intimate associate of Krishna. So that's an amazing fortune that by reading, you're associating with the Brajbasi, just by reading. And if you're trying to do what Prabhupada wants, if Prabhupada becomes pleased with you, then that's it.
By reading, you're taking association with
Yeah, yeah. It's a dialogue, actually. You can read the same thing. You can read something one day and you think, oh, he's chanted the name, and it indicates the sun. Okay. And then one day you can read the same thing and it means something completely. It's like, wow. Because what's happening is Prabhupada is speaking to you through the purports. And so it will mean maybe something a little different to you than it does to somebody else. I mean, sometimes you can get really fired up and you say, oh, Prabhu, he said Narayan, but it was indicating the sun, and the other devotee is like, yeah. But, he said Narayan, it was only indicating this, and it doesn't hit him the same way it's hit you. So when you're reading, you have to give Prabhupada a chance to speak to you via reading, exposing yourself to the books, even if it doesn't seem very interesting, and you're reading, I don't know, maybe you're reading about the 3 modes of eternal nature. I try and do a chapter every day of the Gita, and you think, well, what's this got to do with anything? And then as you're reading it, suddenly, oh my God, I'm in the mode of ignorance. And then it becomes apparent, So by exposing yourself to the books, you allow a dialogue to take place, and then you can gain the inspiration. That the whole idea of reading the books is to get the shiksha, to chant the holy name properly. That's really what it is. It all culminates in chanting the holy name, Even at the time of death, you don't, give me the Bhagavatam, I just need to read something before I leave my body. But the whole idea is you're reading to remind you at the time of death to chant Narayan. That's the idea, that's what it's supposed to be for. So that you're ready to chant. There was a funny thing that happened when I was a bhakta at Chaitanya College in 1982, when I was only 3 years old. All the bhaktas were chanting in the back of the van, on the way to Sankirtan. And we were all really getting into it because we were on Sankirtan that day. So you've got to get into your chanting if you're going to have a good day on Sankirtan. So Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. And then the driver goes, watch out everybody, we've hit an ice patch. And the van went off the road and it was like all over the place. And everybody, all the bhaktas were like, oh. And then he goes, it's okay, we're back on dry ground. And then we're, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So it's supposed to be that when there's problems, the whole idea of doing the reading and the association is when there is a problem, chant the holy name. That's when you're supposed to do it. Not when you're feeling comfortable and everything's okay. That's when you're supposed to do it. Jai. ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaura Premanande. Hari Bol. All of you ki. Jai.